Once again, this is a 2003 Hyundai Accent. This is the instrument panel, and this is a digital to analog signal converter that makes the speedometer go around. And I think what was going on with this is there's a magnet right in here, and it had like some pieces, like just a teeny tiny piece that was breaking off of it. I think that might have been causing it not to work. That, or it's like a wire break somewhere outside in the car. So I brought this in and took it all apart, and this worm gear is very finicky, and I'm wondering if there's any replacement parts for this specific component, like this thing. This is soldered onto the board. I want to take this whole thing off and replace it, because there are 3 other identical ones to it on that instrument cluster. But I can't seem to find that exact part anywhere online. So what I'm going to do is just gently push this worm gear back into place, if I can. Might have to do this with the camera being set down. There's just not a whole lot that's keeping tension on this thing, like keeping it from jumping out. Like, it's pretty much just the lid and that gear beside it. So this gear, all I did was push it down like with my finger. Also, there is this thing that is super ultra tiny. This little black thing here, that's a ball bearing. And I know that it's actually needed, because I took it out and there's a relief like in there where it fits in. So I'm glad that I was able to get that thing back, because I dropped it and then I had to just very carefully put it back. This white gear here, and see how it's got that tab? So that tab sets the keeps it from doing a full 360. Keeps the speedometer from going all the way around. And there's a tab right here that it runs into, so it can go almost 360, but once it hits that thing, that's the highest it can go. This thing keeps popping out. I would have designed it differently. And I mean, even now they are designed differently, because I think they're all digital and stuff. I think it's in. So I took this thing apart destructively, and what I found out was that the way these things are put together is they have these ultrasonically welded plastic pins right here and right here. When I took this off, I broke a bunch of little clips and stuff off of it, including those ultrasonically welded pins. So these broke off at the base, so I'm going to have to use some E6000 glue or epoxy. I think they just call it adhesive, to put the lid back on this thing, and I'm going to use a clamp to hold it into place. But I confirmed that this is the way it's supposed to set up, because this thing went flying as soon as I took that thing off destructively. So the way that you can take these off with the least amount of destruction is, and I did it with this one because I wanted to see like how that metal pressure thingy, we'll get back to that in a second, went back on. So I scraped the weld off of these right there, and the thingies that you'll have to push in are here, and on the back, here and here. And because it's got these angled things, they're set up like this. So you'll want to do the ones at the front first, rock it back, do the ones on the back, and then just it lifts right off. But I didn't even take it off completely with this one because I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose the clip like I almost did with this one. So, unfortunately, this little worm gear has popped out again with just that amount of movement. I just pushed it back in with my pinky finger. So I was trying to figure out where this thing went. I thought maybe it went back here, so it was providing some pressure so that worm gear wasn't moving. I'm still not sure that worm gear is going to stay put. I don't really trust it, not to, because it's just while I'm here looking at it with this thing open, it's popped off so many times. But ostensibly what this thing is doing, and what I'm guessing it's doing, is it's putting downward pressure on this horizontal circular gear here. And that downward pressure is just coming from the cap. So it's pushing down on that, and it's forcing it to engage with the worm gear, and I think that's what's keeping the worm gear in its track. And I think it was just the thing that was causing my speedometer to malfunction, or at least I'm hopeful, was that small chip on the magnet at the end of the worm gear. Like maybe it was catching or something, but it just hasn't been moving at all. So I think it's either this part is completely toast, or there's some wiring outside in the car that goes from the connector to the actual speed sensor. For some reason, some of the stuff is split up between the electrical troubleshooting manual and the just main shop manual. The pins that go to the speedometer are 11 and 14. I tried to look for 13 in this book, like on this page, but I must be missing it because I don't see it anywhere on there. It could be that that's just like a ground pin or something, because I don't see what 13 goes to. 14 goes to the speed input, 11 goes to the tachyometer input. And if you look at it, 11 and 14 are for some reason on like down here. So if I were to flip this around, like so you can see the actual part, (11) and 14 are down in the lower left corner of this thingy. It would be 11, skip 2, and then 14 on the bottom. So I'm going to trace those on the component cable, the combined thingy that goes down to the actual tachometer. I'm assuming it's like somewhere near the end of it, because I don't know why it would be at the start. I'm just really confused as to why the tachyometer isn't moving either. It's probably just because it's not detecting the speeds. I don't know. I'm kind of lost. Uh, I've also got to replace this little light. So I don't know how to go about looking these up, but I'm just gonna get an incandescent one. Probably because they're cheaper, and there might be more considerations that you have to do when you're replacing them with LEDs. So that one's 12 volts, 1.5 watts, and I don't know if there's anything to like the actual color of this. Like, does that mean it's amber, or I've got some other ones that are like brighter orange looking. So is there anything to that? I don't know. I think I'll start recording again once I've got that thing clamped up and stuff.